Hello everybody, I am Liz, and today I want to do round 3 of the internet recommends because I have found 5 more books that are similar to 5 other books I really liked, loved, and enjoyed, and I really want to gain more stories that are similar to each other so I can have more of the experience and similar experiences without reading the same story over again. Now, as always, please treat this as a TBR, as I haven't read any of these recommendations, but also please let me know down below if you have any books that are also similar to these stories that I will be mentioning, whether it's in plot, scenery, characters, or just overall feeling and atmosphere of the story. The first book that is similar to a story I haven't mentioned before in a while, and that is The Leftovers by Tom Perrotta. The Leftovers takes place when the rapture happens, so a good chunk of the world just vanishes in smoke because they have been taken to the second coming and floated off into heaven, or at least that's what people think happened. So the world civilization kind of falls apart. It's full of messy characters centered around this specific town, and I absolutely loved it. And the story that is very similar to The Leftovers by Tom Perrotta is In the Unlikely Event by Judy Blume. This book centers around a girl named Mary Ammerman in 1987 who is attending a commemoration for the worst year of her life, where 35 years ago, a slew of airplanes fell from the sky, leaving a tragedy in this wake in the 1950s. This book follows 3 generations of families, friends, and strangers whose lives are profoundly changed due to these events and these disasters as these planes have been falling. And Judy Blume really paints a very vivid picture of that time where it comes to love, explosive friendships, A-bomb hysteria, rumors of communist threats, and everything that happened during this specific time period, all while weaving around these tragedies these families have been facing from their loved ones that have died in these plane crashes. The second book I have is similar to The Book of M by Peng Shepherd. Now, I read this book this year and absolutely loved it so much. Everything was so interesting based upon the magic system as people lose their shadows, the mythology and lore of why memories are tied to shadows and why people are losing their shadows, the hysteria as people go in a frenzy and it becomes post-apocalyptic when they're looting and killing and trying to survive. Family bonds being torn apart, family bonds being built together as you make friends with people you're around, and really what it means to be a person with your memories intact versus your memories slipping away. The book that has been said to be similar to The Book of M by Peng Shepherd is called Mem, M-E-M, by Bethany C. Morrow. This alternate world is set in a glittering Art Deco of a century ago, where a Montreal scientist has discovered how to extract memories and put them into essentially a body double, a fabrication of a person where all they do is relive that memory that was extracted over and over again. However, one of these extracts, named Dolores, extract number 1, now has found out that she can create her own memories. And in doing so, she's able to create a life of her own, be in her own existence, and really flourish until she has to join the other extracts in this vault that carries them until they die. Book 3 that is similar to Wool by Hugh Howey, where Wool takes place in this futuristic society where all of humanity is confined into a single silo. The outside world air is toxic and deadly, and so for hundreds of years these people have flourished in this underground silo. Now, the political structure and system is very corrupt, full of secrets, which get unraveled in this novel. So I'm really excited to learn of a book that's similar. And that happens to be The City of Ember by Jean Duprow. And the society of the city of Ember has taken place where hundreds of years ago they created this city of Ember, which was built below ground under the surface, and they thought that they would live and thrive. However, now food stores are running low, their crops are blighted, and really corruption is spreading throughout the city. And now even the electricity, the lights are failing to light the city. It has two main characters. They're children called Lena and Dune. They discover remnants of an ancient parchment where maybe they can find their way out of Ember and use what they find to save the city. The fourth book I have for you is similar to The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan. I really love this story as it's really a story about family overcoming grief because our main character, Lee's mother, commits suicide. And she needs to cope with this loss and reconnect with her father, but in doing so, she also sees her mother's spirit turn into a red bird, and she follows this red bird to Taiwan, where she meets her mother's parents for the first time. And in being there in Taiwan, she really starts to heal from her mother's death. Now, the book that is claimed to be similar to An Astonishing Color of After happens to be titled Bruja Born by Zordia Cordova. Now, Bruja Born is the sequel of the Brooklyn Brujas, so I am going to do book 1 in this series, which is called Labyrinth Lost. This book centers around Alex, who has been identified as a Bruja, which is a powerful, magical person chosen by the gods. Now, Alex hates magic, and she doesn't want to be a Bruja, so on her death day celebration, she performs a spell to rid herself of this power. However, it backfires and her whole family vanishes in thin air. This leaves her with another Bruja named Nova. Now, Alex probably can't trust Nova, but Nova's really the only shot Alex has in saving her family. Now, the fifth and last book I have for you today is similar to Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ning. Everything I Never Told You is a tragic story of this family in the 1970s. They're Chinese American. They're the only Asians in their community in Ohio, and they're really struggling with that. Their whole history has been tainted with discrimination, racial prejudices, and everything. And all of these things have trickled down to the family itself, which leads to our character Lydia dying. She goes missing, and then a few days later she's found dead in the lake of the town. And now, while her family is trying to grieve, pick up the pieces, and figure out if this was an accidental death, a suicide, or foul play, we're going back in time and seeing how the parents and the children, the siblings, have really shaped everyone's lives to forming Lydia being found in the lake. Now, I found so many amazing stories very similar to this book, but my favorite out of the pick is called Kira Kira by Cynthia Caldohada. This also takes place with a family. They are in a Japanese American community in Iowa, and they have to uproot their family to the south, the deep south of Georgia, where people stop and stare on the streets. Now, our main character, Katie, her sister, Lynn, sees everything under this rose-tinted lens. Now, Lynn has to explain to younger Katie about this racial discrepancy and discrimination in this new town, and Katie's really getting by until Lynn gets sick. And now, as their family begins to fall apart, Katie takes it up as her role to try to see the glittering, bright, rose-tainted world that Lynn has seen previously. There we have 5 stories that are similar to 5 stories that I really loved and enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you gained some great recommendations to add to your TBR. I hope that you have some recommendations for me that are similar to the stories I mentioned in this video. Until next time, I really do love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see your faces next time. Bye!